Guys, I just received an email from Omnipod that the app is out, which I've been waiting for several months. And I'm so excited to get rid of my controller and just carry my phone around and not having to have two phones out at all times. And people thinking I'm a dealer of some sort. So yeah, see you back in a few for a setup after I download the app. Okay, guys, so I have my phone with me and an Omnipod app. So this is what it looks like, and let's start setting it up. I also have my controller because I think some of the settings that I have on my controller, I'm just gonna copy them down. So it's not gonna automatically transfer, so you do have to manually enter all the information that your doctor provided you or you have on your controller. So make sure to use that as your baseline if you don't remember what your settings are. So let's set up my Omnipod 5 app. Yes, I have actually been trained before when using the controller, so I completed the training. I do accept the terms, and you can set up your PIN, so if someone steals your phone, they can't really control your insulin delivery, which would be detrimental. So that's a good thing, I guess. I understand, and I'm gonna allow my Omnipod to use my Face ID. So all the notifications cannot be silenced, so I guess that's a good thing. But if I'm sitting in class and my phone starts ringing, I might get in trouble. But hopefully some professors are understanding and some teachers are understanding. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. I understand. Okay, if you silence your device, the Omnipod 5 app will still sound for critical alarms. And as always, your pod will not be silenced. So the sound that your pod makes when it expires, the beeping noise, that will still happen. Okay. Okay, so keep the automatic date and time. This is what it says, so make sure you do that. Okay, set up the profile. Okay, let's do it. So first I'm gonna set maximum basal rate. And the way you find that in your controller is once you go to your controller, I currently don't have an active pod. So if you do have an active pod, it's not gonna transfer to your phone app. So make sure you're done using your pod, deactivate it from your controller, and then get a new pod and then set up your phone app. So what I'm gonna do is on my controller, I'm gonna go to the options tab over here and scroll all the way down to basal and temporary basal. So max basal rate for me is 4 units per hour. It might be different for you, so I'm gonna set it to 4 units for now. Next. So now I'm gonna create a basal program. What should I call my basal program? I'm just gonna call it 1. I don't really have a good name for it. So let's do 1. Okay, so your basal program is basically the program your Omnipod uses when it's on manual mode instead of automatic. So for me, it looks something like this. So I see that from 12 a.m. to 8 a.m., which I'm gonna start from 12 a.m. to 8 a.m. I'm gonna set it up to be 0.5. And for segment 2, which for me is from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., for me it's 1.5 units per hour. And for the last one, which runs all the way up until midnight, For me, it's 1 units per hour. Next. And from 12:30 to, I don't know why it's asking me that, to be honest. Okay, that's still 1 unit per hour all the way up till midnight. Okay. Continue. Oh, because I set it to run, I want it till midnight. Done. Okay. So we're done setting basil, which for me added up to 24.5, but I don't usually use manual mode. I always use automatic. One thing I did here is that if you are on Dexcom G7, it's not compatible with the app. I am currently using G6, so that's not going to be an issue for me, but I'm not sure how correct that information is. So, not sure. Let me know in the comments how, if whoever uses G7, if that ends up working for you. Okay, so I'm gonna save that. I don't set a temporary basal, so I'm not gonna turn that on. So now I'm gonna set up a bolus. So to find the bolus, you're gonna go back to your settings, and there's a bolus tab. So I'm just gonna tap that and see my bolus settings on my controller. So here, set up bolus, gonna click next. Next. Segment 1. So that's gonna be all day for me actually. So my target glucose is 110, and I'm usually correcting when it's above 120. Next. Insulin to carb ratio. So I usually get 1 unit of insulin for 6 to 11 grams, depends on the time of the day. So usually at night, up until the morning, which I don't usually eat then, but I do wake up around 7 or 6 in the morning. My 1 unit of insulin will probably cover about 11 grams. And next. So correction factors. Correction factors are, yeah, it says here, but if your correction factor is 50 and your blood sugar is 170, since your target is, or if your blood sugar is 160 and your target in my case is 110, it's going to release 1 unit of insulin, so it corrects down by 50 units. For me, unfortunately, 1 unit of insulin does not lower my blood sugar by 50 milligrams per deciliter. It actually lowers it by much less, not much, but quite less. So at night, I would say it does lower my blood sugar by 45 milligrams per deciliter. So that's what I'm gonna set it to. And from the morning till like afternoonish, around 5, it lowers my blood sugar probably by 30. Which, the longer you have diabetes, the more insulin resistant you become. Like, my correction factor when I first got diagnosed was probably 80 milligrams per deciliter. So it's been 17 years since, so it's not that good. I hope it never goes below 30 though. Okay, Then in the late afternoon and evening, uh, let's do all the way up until like 10. I'm gonna let it be around 40. And the evening all the way up until midnight, I'm gonna let it be 50 again. Maybe 45. Okay, next. This all looks good, and I'm gonna save that information. Duration of insulin action, it's probably gonna be 2 hours for me. That's what it is on my controller. I do know what this means, but I haven't really noticed any difference when I change that setting personally. And if my blood sugar sees that it hasn't been corrected for the meal after 2 hours, it will release more insulin, which I do like because I don't like being high all the time during the day, which sometimes does happen after like a lunch, like heavy lunch. So I'd rather that not happen. So my duration of insulin is the lowest it can be. And the max bolus is 13 units for me. I've never had to get more than 8 actually, but if I do, I don't think I'll ever get more than 13, but it depends on the person, of course. Well, it depends what you eat, but if I have like a carbs or like a dessert, which I rarely do, but if I do, especially like a big one, I definitely think I would need like at least 10 units of bolus. So I'm gonna play it safe and set it to 13 so I can use it if I need to. I don't use the extended bolus personally, so I'm not gonna turn that on, because if I'm eating something heavy, I want it to tackle all of it right away and not over long periods of time. Set up a new pod though. This is what my screen currently looks like. So I pressed not now button. So this is what my screen looks like, and so my pod is not set. If I wanted to set the pod later, I would click on this pod button that's in the right corner, and this would tell me I can press set up a new pod, but I'm not gonna do it now because my pod just expired and I don't really need to set it now. Also, if I do set it now, the next time it's gonna expire is going to be at around like 4 or 5 in the morning, and I really don't want that to happen. So I'm gonna wait probably like an hour longer to set up my pod, and I'll get back in an hour basically. But let's see what's different between the phone app and the controller. So once the pod is set, you're gonna see your blood glucose on those like grids, and where you see 2 dashes here, it's gonna tell you what your blood sugar is. But once I set up the pod, I'll show you how all of this looks like. So this is when I click insulin, which is next to the pod, it shows you what your basal program looks like, but you only use that when you're in the manual mode. So I usually won't use that unless my pod cannot communicate with my glucometer or like a sensor or something. So I rarely use it. So here you will see alerts. You have history here, which doesn't transfer, unfortunately, from your controller. So usually when you have a controller, I've had my controller for almost a year now, maybe a little less, before I would do injections. But your controller basically learns information about you and will adjust some of the rates and stuff according to what works best for you. So that was pretty nice. But I guess I have to start all over again. But I don't mind because I love that I'll have that on my app. And I just need to use this one thing and not the whole, and not carry 2 things around. Like so many times I've gotten a question like, why do you have 2 phones? And I'm sick of answering that this is not a phone. Or several times my professors would be like, hey, can you put your phone away from the table? Or like, hey, don't be on your phone, or why is your phone ringing? And I'm like, this is my pump, and unfortunately I can't shut it off, and I don't want to do that because it's my pancreas. Anyways, so one thing I do like is, well, the first tab is switch mode, so you can switch between um, the manual and automatic modes. Um, you can type activity, which I love using every time I'm going to the gym and my blood sugar is like normal on the higher side. I set up an activity level for like a couple of hours because that's how long I'm usually in the gym for, and I don't want my blood sugar to my pod to keep releasing insulin when I know I'm working out, because pod doesn't know you're working out unless you tell it that. So it's gonna keep releasing insulin, and then your blood sugar is going to drop dramatically. So we don't want that to happen. Okay, so enter BG is in case your Omnipod doesn't connect to your sensor, so you need to tell it manually what your blood sugar is. And your mine is in milligrams per deciliter. Some people use moles, but the country I'm from, we use milligrams per deciliter, so that's what I'm used to. And one thing I love, I've been trying to talk about this for like 5 minutes now, but one thing I do love is custom foods. So they're pretty, there's several meals, or especially breakfasts, I have almost every day of the week, almost. So I pretty sure have to type in manually like, oh, what my, how many carbs I ate, blah, blah, blah. Here you can create a custom food. So I can add a custom food, let's say eggs. I usually have 2. And let's find how many carbs are in eggs. Okay, it's only 0.6 grams per egg, so the total is going to be 1.2. Okay, so here I have my pod. Let's set it up. And my insulin, of course. I'm using Novolog. Okay, so open the pod box, the pod package, whatever. Okay, so to set up the pod, basically gonna click the pod app, which says set up a new pod, and it looks exactly like the controller one. So it tells you to fill the new pod with U100 insulin, which is exactly what I have. And once you fill it up, you have to wait until you hear 2 beeps. Otherwise, it's not gonna start. So take out the needle and draw out some insulin from your vial. Okay. So I usually fill it up until like 1:30-ish. And first I let some air in, so I have as little bubbles as possible, which never works out for me, but and then I tap it to get rid of more bubbles. And let's see. Okay, I think this looks good. Okay, and now we are going to wait for 2 beeps. Okay, so there we go. Okay, I heard 2 beeps. So let's fill it all the way up now, or until the insulin is gone from my needle. Okay, there we go. And now it's time to connect my phone to my pod. So I'm gonna click next and let's see if it communicates. Hopefully it does. I've never done this before, so I really don't want to waste a pod. It's definitely taking longer. Okay, my blood sugar is going up, so I definitely need this. Or is already up, so I definitely need some insulin. So, okay, it's priming. Can hear the priming. I'm so excited. Okay, it's still communicating. I wonder if it also tracks the sites. Hopefully it does. Definitely does not remember my old sites, for sure. But we'll start over, I guess. Okay, I don't think it tracks the sites, which kinda is a bummer. So let's see what, okay, so if I click those buttons, so it just tells me what that means. Okay, so let's remove the plastic tab. The cannula is not sticking out. So I think I'm gonna apply it on my leg today. But which one? I don't remember which one was the latest one. So I'm gonna go with right. The right looks more healed from last time. I already wiped my leg with some alcohol, so make sure to do that. Okay, so this is currently what I have here, the pod, the brand new pod. So and let's see how. So I should just press start. I hate pressing start every single time, even though I've done this multiple times. Okay. Start. Yes, I think it is in place. Ooh, I'm scared. It didn't hurt. This was really good, actually. Yes, I think it's inserted. I see. Okay. Oh my gosh, it started. Let's see if I can connect my sensor to it. Okay, so the thing is, even though my controller knew my transmitter serial number, this information doesn't transfer. So I'm gonna go and check what my transmitter number is. Okay, so I'm back with my controller, which my controller has that information. I can't really see my transmitter serial number in my transmitter because it's already inserted, so I'm not gonna take it out. But let's see, so it's 8 A G C M M. Done. Save, confirm. and now it's connecting to my transmitter. So it might take up to 20 minutes. It usually doesn't for me. Usually takes much less, sometimes seconds. So hopefully this works soon. And okay, once it connects, it will start working well. And I'll switch to automated mode. Okay, so I'm in automated mode. I don't like manual mode. But to each its own. And everything looks good. I'm excited to start using my phone instead of controller. I'm still gonna keep it probably just in case if something goes wrong or if I lose my phone or something. But I'm excited. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time with something else.